So scalability is the ability to add computational capacity either up or down, so either increasing your capacity or decreasing your capacity based on demand.
If you have an application, you have 100 people on it, you have the infrastructure in place to support those 100 people. If you need to support 100,000 people, you don't want to have to completely rebuild that thing. You should set it up in a way to begin with, understanding that eventually it's going to get bigger. So you need to ensure up front that you have the tools to do that.
So there's a couple ways you can scale. Typically you either scale vertically, which is you make your machine bigger or smaller, or you can scale horizontally, which is adding more machines into the mix or taking machines away.
There's lots of different approaches people take. I'd say making pieces of work as small as possible, so you can split those off into their own services if need be, is a big one. So, you know, if you have a service that does one specific thing and you need to be able to scale that, it's a lot easier to take that, scale that individually, not to mention more cost effective, to scale that individually as that section grows, and maybe you have another section over here that's not used as much, and you can keep that as its size. So you not only save money, you have the ability to scale and grow only to what's needed for what your purpose is.
You can only scale vertically so far, and that's something to be aware of. If your scaling strategy is to only scale vertically, you will potentially, if demand is great enough, hit a cap to where technology can no longer scale past what's available.
You have to think about scalable tech up front. It's very easy, and it's often the path of least resistance to start a piece of software and have it be completely unscalable. If you have any hope of your app becoming as popular as most people want them to, you have to make sure that up front you keep scalability in mind.
Knowing what your scaling strategy is going to be will dictate some of your choices as to what your technology stack is going to look like. If you're going to scale vertically versus horizontally, it will make big impacts on how you design your database schema and which technologies you use to build out your platform.
Scalability is important because without it, your app will crash and burn. There's really not anybody who's not going to need to scale at some point if they have a successful application. If you don't have the scalability that you need, then your app is going to hit a breaking point where you're either going to have to scrap the whole thing and start over, or put in patchwork to get things where they need to be. Whereas if you had taken the scalability factor in at the beginning, you could have prevented all that. You know, you have this idea that's been scalable from the beginning, so you have the pieces in place. You can sometimes hit a button and scale.